Before the weekly analysis begins, I just want to let you know that I do have a Patreon page. We have two tiers available. The first tier is called Start Off for £15 a month, and what you will receive is access to a Discord server containing the beginners, intermediate, and advanced course, risk management course for Elliot Wave trading, as well as financial literacy content. This tier is also for those who want to learn at their own pace and generally just support what I do and just join a community of like-minded traders. The second tier that I have is called the Waveologist for £35 a month, and what you receive is everything that I mentioned above with the addition of specific chart requests for me to annotate on a daily and weekly time frame, and one-to-one support or group sessions depending on how many people have subscribed to this tier. The group or one-to-one sessions are for those people who want a little bit of extra help with their Elliot Wave education, and also give the opportunity to ask me as many questions. Please do keep in mind that these are going to be 1 hour sessions depending on how many people have subscribed, and also I would say please do consider joining. It is really good value for money, and without further ado, let's get into the analysis. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, guys. This is going to be my Elliot Wave count for pound, yen, pound, dollar, and gold. But first of all, any views or opinions or suggestions that I express in this video do not constitute to trading or financial advice. So let's get started here on pound dollar cable. So cable has been moving towards the downside throughout this whole week. I did say that we might get some sort of move eventually coming up a bit more higher to take out these highs, but it felt that it didn't necessarily go towards these highs or come towards this level. It just started to just shoot down. I've got two possible scenarios here. One is that obviously I am expecting that this entire wave is completely corrective to the downside, and we are expecting this to continue to move to the downside. At the same time, I'm checking probably near around the 50 or the 61.8. I'm more inclined to the 61.8 around these lows, where I see this pair sort of heading towards. But at the same time, we just need to be a bit more careful. Now, just simply on the wave count, we have an ABC into a wave W, and now this could be a WXY or an ABC as well into a wave X, and then we have a sort of move, an incline, a decline towards the downside, and not just that. I think on a daily time frame, we have just about broken market structure right here. Let me see, yep, right here we've just broken market structure. So to me, that's basically saying to me we could expect some sort of movement coming back in towards the upside before we could get a continuation to the downside. So the possible scenario is this. I've got two so far, which is one, this wave X is still yet to be completed, and what I mean by that is essentially this wave X will still be here. Let's get rid of this parallel trend line, and what we have here is simply a 1 2 3 wave here, and we have this as a 1 2 3 wave here, and we could expect one more push up to the upside in 5 waves as wave X, and essentially giving us a expanded flat. And what we could then expect is essentially this market to then shoot towards the downside eventually after that, giving us a wave Y, completing our wave X in a high degree and eventually taking out these lows. So that's one possible scenario. And the reason why I say that's a possible scenario is because this move has moved in 3 waves. So 1 2 3, this moved in 3 waves as well. 1 2 3, and not just that, we've just hit about the 1.26%, 1.236% level right here, and we've got some sort of wickage eventually. Well, that's called coming, bringing this towards the upside. So we could possibly see this eventually come towards the upside and giving us an expanded flat, which basically means that we are still in that sort of wave X degree, and we could continue up one more time before we get a shoot down. So that's obviously one possibility in a scenario. The other scenario is that essentially this is the wave X and we've actually completed, and what we essentially have here is essentially the start of the wave Y. So you have 3 waves here, and we could get 3 waves up, one more down, a bit more deeper correction in, and then shoot down again to the downside like that, and then go up essentially. We could have a W X Y X Z or something like that as well. There's so many possibilities, but nevertheless, I do assume, I do think that we're gonna continue to head towards the downside with this pair, and but at the same time we have just broken market structure, so just be a little bit careful when you come towards these levels. Don't just look to buy or go for the longs. Let the market play out as it wants to. For me, it's not necessarily cleared up for me. I haven't got any good entries as of yet, so I'm just gonna still be waiting until I get a bit more a bit more of a pullback coming in before I can take a nice short, if that makes sense. So that's cable. Let's go on to gold. Gold has been moving quite nicely in our favor. I did say, I was expecting this to sort of give us one more push upside, but it didn't do that. Instead, what it did was sort of continue to push down towards the lows and essentially create another low. And what we're essentially doing now, in my opinion, is we're probably creating another high before we start coming down again. Ideally, what I see is probably this to be a wave one or wave A. This is an ABC, and what we have here is a sort of impulse, a start of an impulse move towards the downside. So you have a wave one, a wave two here, one, two, and then a one, two, three, four, five. So that's a wave three, and what we are currently in, where we are currently at, is a wave four of wave three, if that makes sense. So in and around here, we shouldn't go past the 50% level. We shouldn't go more than this level, and our invalidation is essentially right here. So this level right here, which is just above the 61.8. That's our invalidation level right here. So for me, I'm gonna see it as essentially this to be a move towards the downside, and we could eventually start pushing towards the downside even more once this sort of bearish movement sort of finishes up. um, at the same time, we just have to see how it moves. I'm like I said, I'm necessarily, I do genuinely believe that this is a way through. We might get one more push down here, one more push up, one more down, and then we get a sort of deeper correction coming in and then shoot down, something like that, basically. But eventually, what I'm assuming is we're probably gonna come towards these lows, if that makes sense, to the 1800 level or something like that in the long term future. Um, but yeah, this is gold. Just be a bit careful. We have reached sort of huge levels of resistance, or so you can say that are highs, you can say, and we started to fall short towards the downside. So just be a bit careful with this pair. And to me, this pair it just screams bearish. So I'm probably gonna look. I know I did say that some of the banks are predicting this pair to essentially go towards the 2000 to 300 levels and stuff like that. But at the same time, my technical analysis is saying something else. So it doesn't go necessarily hand in hand, and obviously for that reason I don't necessarily think I'm going to be trading this pair until I necessarily get sort of a bit cleaner sort of move towards the upside. At the same time, we could say that this is essentially a expanded flat. We've got that sort of move here in three waves, and then we have another move here right here in three waves, and then we get sort of getting a five-wave continuation to the upside, and then we shoot down, something like that. But nevertheless, just be a bit careful with this pair. Don't overtrade, don't over risk, and just use very very little. It's one of those pairs that it just moves when it wants to move, and yeah, man, it will take you out easily. So yeah, just be careful with this pair. Our evaluations around here for looking for a nice sell, but nevertheless, I won't be taking this trade at all. I'm just saying this is what my analysis is for gold. So let's go on to here, pound yen. Pound yen has been moving nicely. I did take a trade on pound yen, and it has been moving nicely. The setup has also now come in clean as well. So we now have a nice, what do you call it, ending diagonal as a wave 5, and that has completed our wave 3. And what we are simply seeing or expecting is a push towards the downside. Now this can be a wave 4 push to the downside, or we could actually complete this entire impulsive move as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this basically means the move has completed. We're going to see a huge move to the downside with this pair. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think so. I just genuinely believe that the wave 3 has sort of just finished. And if I look at it in terms of technically, that's why I generally think like the wave 3 I just feel we've hit the 20 to 2.618% level, and we start to just fall short. So I genuinely believe that we are currently in that wave 4, but we have an impulsive move breaking out, which is perfectly fine. So necessarily, when I look at this pair, what I see here is essentially a nice breaking market structure, which it has. And what am I looking for now? Well, we have 5 wave moves here. So we have a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and a wave 5. And what we're expecting is simply a 3-wave move to about 50 to 61.8% level around there. Our stops will just be above here, and we'll look to essentially sell this market. Where do I possibly target? I think my first target will probably be this level, and my second target will probably be around this level right here. But nevertheless, that will be our wave 4. And not just that, I don't necessarily think this will be an impulsive move. This could be either considered, I know this is 5 waves, so this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a wave 1, or this could also be a wave A, so an A, B, C, or a 1, 2, 3, depending on how it wants to move. Now, looking at that, looking at the whole thing, and I see that we are sort of finished up with this wave 3. I'm going to be assuming that this is going to be a wave A instead of a wave 1, because we're going to get that sort of wave 4 to sort of hit this trend line, you could say. but we just got to see how it moves. But nevertheless, just be a bit careful. We are in the wave 4 now, in my opinion, so we are in a corrective structure. But nevertheless, if we do take it towards the downside, just be a bit careful. And yeah, I'm expecting more downside with pound yen. Um, but yeah, hope you guys like my analysis. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. I do have a Patreon for all those people that are interested in mentorship. The link will be in the description down below. You guys will have access to my private Discord. And yeah, I see you guys on to the next one. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.